Hello, beautiful people. It's me again. A wise man once said, "The truth sounds like hate to those who hate to hear the truth." It is with that in mind that I come before you this week to talk about a situation that happened to me on Tuesday. As most of you know, Tuesday nights I'm normally at a protest trying to get a memorial to traitors and losers, the Confederate Army, down from in front of the Williamson County Courthouse, an edifice that is supposed to stand for justice and equality. While I was there on Tuesday night, a young boy, probably no older than the age of 14, told me, "You people," meaning me and the protesters, I presume, hopefully, "need to get over it." And so my question to him was, what exactly does he expect me, us, to get over? I'm trying to keep this as apolitical as possible because this really isn't a political issue. This is an issue of morals. I will forego the study in the American Journal of Human Genetics that stipulates that there has been an actual significant effect on the DNA of Black people due to the several generations of post-traumatic stress, pillaging, raping, violent actions that was done to our people from 1619 when Black people first got to the shores of America until slavery was over in June of 1865. If we forgo the fact that slavery actually ended in June of 1865, that's 155 years ago. That is less than the average lifespan of two white males in America. Shockingly, just a little bit over the average lifespan of two Black males in America at 75 years versus 78 for a white man. If I forgo that as well, I am still left with the fact that we were not given citizenship until the Voting Rights Act of 1965. As anyone would admit to, Blacks were second-class citizens until the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So, let's assume you don't know anyone who's a slave. I don't. All right, let's assume you don't know anybody who can tie themselves directly to being a slave. I do, but that's okay. I'm sure we all know someone who was born since or before 1965, around that date. If you don't, I'll go up a little further. Let's go to 1971 with Nixon's War on Drugs, designed to target Black people because of the drugs he chose. Nixon's domestic affairs aide, John Ehrlichman, said, "We knew," and this is a quote, "we knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or Black. But by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and Blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing them both heavily, we could disrupt those communities." That's right. In 1971, they were already going specifically at Black people without ever putting the word African American or Black in the law itself. What if you don't know anyone born before 1971? My parents were, but hey, maybe you don't know anybody born before 1971. In 1986, the government flooded Black communities with crack to pay for the Contras. They've even made movies about it. In 1986, an investigation by the subcommittee, called the Kerry Committee, and the Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee, found that the Contra drug links included, but was not limited to, payments to drug traffickers by the U.S. State Department, in some cases after the traffickers had been indicted by federal law enforcement agencies on drug charges. In others, while drug traffickers were under active investigation by these same agencies. Don't know anybody born before 86? How about, I was born before 86 by the way, people. How about 91? Since we're supposed to get over things. In 1991, Bush Sr. replaced Thurgood Marshall with Judge Clarence Thomas. I will ignore the Anita Hill scandal, not that it should be, but for the sake of this argument, simply because Clarence Thomas would then later vote against the Civil Voting Rights Act being renewed when it came up for renewal. I want to get over these things, but they just keep coming. How about the 1994 crime bill? A bill that overpenalized crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. because crack cocaine was found predominantly in the black communities. A bill that does the exact opposite of what we're trying to do with the opioid epidemic, an epidemic that disproportionately finds itself in non-minority communities because of a bunch of things, to include the fact that we're not treated the same at hospitals and are very often told to bear with pain that otherwise we would not be told to bear with if we weren't black, and there are studies on that too, but I digress. The 1994 crime bill also helped to set mandatory minimums. Yay! 99 times to 1 differentiations between the punishments and jail time for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine, realizing that crack cocaine was predominantly used in minority communities, whereas powder cocaine was predominantly used in white communities. Yet again, they found a mysterious way to not include the words or terms Black or African American and disproportionately affect the community 99 times worse. Man, the hits just keep coming. How about 1996, when there was a large movement to privatize prisons and create quotas, creating an America where 1 out of 3 black men are either in prison, on their way to prison, or coming out of prison. Basically, taking the black male voting bloc and cutting it by 1/3. Now, let me state this for the record. I was, especially in high school and college, a fan of Kanye West's music. I am not so much a fan of Kanye West's antics. However, after Hurricane Katrina in August 2005, Kanye West notoriously went on the record saying that George Bush does not care about black people. Why did he say that? Well, Hurricane Katrina was hit in an area where 30% of the people who were living there in the hardest hit areas were black. Yet 40% of the dead were black. How did the percentages go up in one particular demographic when we speak of the dead? 2005 was a long time ago. 15 years. Almost half my lifetime. It's older than my oldest daughter. Let's talk about stuff in the present. Let's get over the Trump economic plan. An economic plan that incentivizes the top percentages, which would inherently be racist in a country that has suffered economic injustices against the black community for its entire existence. Black people will, for another generation, be the ones who bear the brunt of being pushed outside of the highest economic echelons achieved because we had to start the race 400 years behind, and not with the help of the very same government aid that made Trump's father a millionaire. How about the appointment of Ben Carson, a man who inevitably voted against the Fair Housing Act, the Civil Rights era federal law protecting people who have historically experienced racism and discrimination, limiting their housing options, dating all the way back to redlining, and the very same laws and legal procedures and economic incentives that made Trump's father rich. By removing the disparate impact claim that people and the government were able to make against agencies that were acting in unfair manners, Ben Carson has effectively neutered the Fair Housing Act and made it absolutely null and void. Why oh why would a business mogul who has a background in property management want to do something somewhat racist against the Fair Housing Act? Could that be because in 1973, during the investigation, 4 Trump agents admitted to using codes to label, those codes being either a C or a 9, to label black applicants and say that they were told by the company to discourage rental to black applicants. They were not allowed to rent to black applicants, as a matter of fact, and that prospective black renters should be sent to the central office while white renters could have their applications accepted on site. 3 doormen testified to being told to discourage prospective black tenants or renters from either renting or by lying about the rental prices and claiming there were no vacancies. That was 1973. Trump settled. But then again in 1978, because this particular individual doesn't seem to like to learn lessons, he was sued again for violating the terms of the 1975 agreement that he made out of court, again refusing to rent to black renters. You say you want us to get over these injustices. Fine, I'll get over them. The question is, when do you want me to do that? Every time we, as a group of people, not just black people, but other people that see those injustices, try to get past them, another one is levied at us. When do we get over them? It is astonishing to me that all black people want is equality and fairness. Because most people, after being subjugated, dragged down, beaten, bloodied and bruised, would want revenge. And that, my dear friends, is something that, thank God, black people as a whole do not want. Because if they did, let me tell you, standing in front of a monument and explaining to fools why we should not celebrate traitors and losers would be the least of your concerns. Hey, but at the end of the day, God tells me to love my brothers, no matter their skin color. And every Tuesday I'm reminded that there's plenty that don't look like me that love me, and they're willing to take time out of their day to prove it. And I thank God for them. So, in an effort to live up to the middle name given to me by my parents, I love you all.